Yeah, yes. Oh, so that's not what's.
Probably, so we talk about the roads.
What was that?
Expenditures. We'll probably just been talking about this one.
It's just a whole meeting about Jason's asking for money.
Either that. Yeah. We want to discuss past seven, because that's what he gets overtime for. We're saving the city money by having a study session, right?
Maybe we'll get all our questions answered. And
That's right, before that half hour, I think we don't have to pay the cop overtime more than an hour. Oh, yeah, turn off.
my glasses. Ooh, can't find
Can't help you, mine are in the car.
What's in the car?
She said she forgot her glasses.
oh, that's terrible.
Ooh. So I will go ahead and call our study session to order. It is 6:30 PM. If we can stand for the pledge of allegiance. please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk Domingo, if you okay, roll call for us, please.
Councilmember Williams.
Present.
Reed. Here. Stewart. Ross.
Here.
Davis.
Here.
French.
Here.
And Mayor Snyder.
Here. So our study session is to discuss items that are gonna be required of approval at our regular meeting. First on the agenda is to approve the professional design services for Stauffer Plaza. So Jason, you can come on up and I'm sure you're just gonna stay standing.
Were you hoping somebody else? You thought Mike was gonna be here?
Hoping that he was gonna do.
Oh, please.
Big
Look,
better
you're
target
top
behind
and
the
over to
podium.
the dark side.
I know. Okay, so this is to put down a water main down through Stauffer Plaza. So currently, Performance Automotive, they apply for an occupancy permit. And the problem is that when that building was put in and the water line was put in, it's actually hooked to the house in front of it. That runs then off of Erie Street.
Yeah.
By ordinance, every parcel is supposed to have its own water service coming in. The problem is there's no water service to tap into because there's nothing coming down into Stauffer Plaza. So the Leisure Hour Club is on a well. And Performance is tapped off a residence's house when it's supposed to be tapped on its own. So what we plan on doing is bringing down a 6-inch main. Eagle requires a 6-inch main to be put in. So that way Leisure Hour can then tap into city services. And then Performance can be in compliance with our ordinance. Now, we've given them an extension, of course, because they were moving in. It was really sudden move. And so we just we've been in contact and saying, listen, we'll give you an occupancy permit, but once the main is put in, you're gonna have to hook to it. And then this way, whenever we decide to do something for Stauffer Plaza, put a new pavilion up or bathrooms, we're gonna have to have water through there. Now, my first thing was to try to tap into the artesian well that was there, but we can't. So, we have to run a new water line service down through. One of the things that we just did, we have the water main is currently exposed right now on Erie Street. So during one of our progress meetings today, we're like, listen, since you got it already dug up, why don't you go ahead and put a line off to the side? So we don't have to go into our new pavement on Erie, and we can just have the line right here in the grass. So they're doing that right now. So when we go to put something up, and when we go to put the water main in, it's already there in the grass with the brand new valve. And so this is just a proposal for them to pull the permits, do all the design work to then run it down into the plaza itself for us to later tap into and for Performance to tap into right now.
Where's Performance going into?
So where Alan Morgan's
The break.
businesses, the Tom Joe Brake Service, they're in there right now. So they're no longer in downtown.
Yeah.
On Superior, they're directly behind them. So right off where the river. or
Yeah,
the-
yeah, I know where that building is, so is that business no longer Or are they just sharing space?
No, Mr. Morgan moved into another portion of it, and so Performance then occupies the big door that faces north. And the front. Office area,
Mhm.
lobby area. So that's where Performance Automotive is.
Okay, so they're sharing.
Yeah.
Okay,
So the artesian well runs into the river still.
All three of them do.
Council or Mayor Pro Tem French,
Two questions. So, why 6 inches
That's what Eagle requires. The bare minimum is 6 inches.
for a water main that's gonna have other water mains connected to it?
Correct.
Okay,
It's
so
a
it's not a single one, it's a.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's a state mandate.
Right,
Now, used to be 4.
Yeah.
The state now says it has to be
6.
6 at minimum.
Okay. And how wide is the pipe off of Erie? 8?
And
10, okay.
Councilman Davis.
I was at a different meeting and some of the concern was shared regarding the Cram building and there are holes, I guess, in that area. I don't know if it's coming from Stofa Plaza, but can you check that out as well?
we have
And,
holding our breath.
okay, what
We-
does that
We
mean?
think there is another well. To the north between Leisure Hour and the Crane Building.
Yeah.
We say that because we have an old pipe that had an artesian well hooked to it. We then blocked it off. But the pipe has so much debris plugged into it that we couldn't get a camera through, nor could we blast it out with our jet truck. But it dips down like this, and so. We blocked it off on the one end and the other end still in the river. However, it's still flowing crystal clear water since September. Non-stop. So engineer went down there, Mickey. And he gave me a piece of engineering advice. It's either gonna keep draining through that pipe or it's gonna sink the parking lot. Either way, we'll know. I was like, okay, so. That is what we're pretty sure that we have a well right there, but so far we have not seen any signs of deterioration under the pavement. So
Other
far,
than the holes.
well, we fixed some of the holes. Now, East Alley is full of potholes, but not sinkholes. That we know of. Kind of afraid to open it up, to be honest with you.
Is,
Councilman Williams.
yes, sorry. Is there other equipment we may be able to utilize to ensure that we don't have sinkholes?
I can check, the only thing that comes to mind is like like a sound penetrating radar,
That's what I was thinking. Expensive?
but it's a little expensive and the easiest way is to just to pop the concrete or the asphalt out. The asphalt's got a lot of problems anyways. So if we ever do turn that to grass, we would definitely pop it out and then we would know for sure. But we haven't seen any structural issues with the parking lot sinking. It does have a dip, but we don't know if that's just natural dip or what it is. But right where we paved next to it, we put that new pavement in, the new asphalt, it was dry as a bone. And that was downhill too. So we're not seeing anything seeping that way. Would have before.
So are these holes by any concrete?
No, not that we've seen. That whole alley, East Alley through, that is all, that left, that strip that's left is East Alley, remainder of it. Is absolutely horrible, absolutely horrible. It needs, we're gonna have to do something. Either we pave it, or turn it to grass, whatever that may be, we're in talks with everybody. But right now, we're not seeing any sinkholes.
Well, yeah, I was kind of asking both because I remember that's kind of how we discovered some of the issues.
We're
Early.
not seeing any gaps between the asphalt and the cement with no bottom to it,
Mhm.
like we were before.
Councilman Williams.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. The idle hour, not idle hour. What's
Leisure
that?
hour.
Yeah, leisure hour. I'm sorry. they're not currently attached to the water and they're running off the well. After this work, they'll be receiving a bill.
They'll have to tap into our 6-inch main, yes, and then they'll have a water meter just like everybody else.
Jason, are they not on the city sewer?
I believe they're on city sewer, they're on city sewer, but not well, or they're on a well still. Cause there literally is no water supply in that area.
Has this been discussed with those business owners?
Yes, yep, multiple times we've walked the property too, show them what they're doing.
So the ask for this is gonna be 13,800.
Yes,
Any other questions or comments from council?
Is that cheaper or more expensive than just saying, you let them take a well?
well, by ordinance, they're all supposed to be on our system within the city limits. And so,
That doesn't answer the question, but I
Yeah.
understand.
No, it's a state regulation. If you're within 200 feet of an approved municipal system.
Yeah.
You're supposed to tap into it.
So we just get a 4-hour pass for 100 years.
well, yeah, because they haven't had any system through there. Now they will,
Now they.
so.
Councilman Frost?
Thank you, Mayor. How long will this project take and when will it be finished?
A couple of weeks to put one in. It's going to be the repairs afterwards. Right now in the Riverwalk Trail, if you go down to Performance, directly across is a catch basin and there's the Riverwalk going up. You'll see 2 large slabs of concrete have caved in right above where the catch basin is, or the storm drain. That we believe is from just erosion over time and the catch basin itself has failed. So one of the things that we would do is to fix that, bring the concrete back up. In the meantime, we're gonna have to take out that concrete, and so the goal was to run it right down through the concrete, then Performance will easily tap into it. There's been some discussions about repaving that whole part of East Alley from Erie down to Performance. If we do that, that would be the perfect time for Performance then to hook into our main, since the pavement would be taken out. So from start to finish, it's fairly quick. I mean, it could be a couple weeks. But right now, everyone is stretched so thin. It would be one of our several contractors doing it. It would just have to be scheduled.
Any other questions or comments? All right. Next, we are gonna be asked to approve the services for engineering for improvements from West Cass. I'm sorry, on West Cass from Albion Street to Ann Street.
So a couple weeks ago, I came to you, we talked about the grant for Maple Street. That's the MDOT money. And after Manager Terry and Director Clark and I sat down, that's when we came to you and said that we don't think that we should move forward with that portion of it. That we should go for taking those funds, putting it towards finishing Cass Street from Ann all the way to Erie. So with the new water project, Cass Street's being completely redone from Superior all the way to Ann. In 2026, Albion Street's gonna be completely redone. So from those 2 blocks on Cass Street, going from Ann to Albion would be left like they are. And that has to be pretty close to about the worst part of Cass Street as it is. So our proposal was we take the funds that we got from MDOT, put towards this project and just Concord Excavating won the contract for doing Cass Street. And they would just continue all the way to Albion and just be done with it. Because we have the senior center right there. And that Cass Street also qualifies for federal funding because it's 37 feet wide. It's crazy wide. But it also goes from Albion Street to the college. And it hooks to Superior Street and it can also be used as detour for truck routes. That's why it's so wide. If it was narrower, most streets are 24 feet wide. If it was narrow, it'd be a lot cheaper. part of this cost, instead of just milling it down and filling it full of asphalt, is fixing the water main that's in there, connecting it to the new water main that's gonna be going in on Albion Street, fixing the storms, drains, fixing the curb. We're just gonna do it completely right the whole way and be done with it. And so that's why we're coming to you with this proposal now to finish it up with the existing project, which won't start until 26.
Questions or comments?
Can you narrow the street and add a bike lane maybe to?
So we talked about that. I think the problem that we found with Whiteman was because it's so wide and it qualifies as for federal funding due to it being a truck route, if we narrow that, then it takes away some of that.
I was thinking it would take away the trucks, but it will also take away the.
Nice.
bike.
That would be nice, but yeah.
But if they rebuild it right, the trucks won't. Right? If you build it like it's gonna handle trucks.
Yeah,
It's
if
gonna
we
be
just were to
more robust.
pave over it.
Yeah.
It would go in a couple of years.
All right, any other questions or comments? Good. Next, we're gonna be asked to approve of the Huntington Boulevard repairs.
Okay, Huntington Boulevard. The one thing I've learned in getting these estimates is boulevards are extremely expensive. Because they are doubling the amount of curbs that you have, they're doubling the amount of pavement to have. And going into Huntington, even when I was on patrol for the last 10, 15 years, the entrance to Huntington is horrible. If you look at Broadwell and Valhalla, everything going to the east of there and even coming off Watson Street, Huntington is by far the worst, and it's the heaviest residential area outside of East Broadwell Street. We were originally gonna do that ourselves. We were gonna try it. We were getting quotes to do other areas of town, and so I was like, why don't we just go ahead and quote Huntington, just to see what it would cost for them to do it. Compared to what we were coming up with, rough estimates, compared to what they could do when they're in town paving other areas. They could go to both sides of the road and go even further past the first two houses than what we ever thought about doing. And so it just makes sense. They have the mill that's much wider than the one that we have, and they're able to mill it out already. Even just milling it has been better than what it was. And so for $40,000, they took out 3 inches and they're gonna put 3 inches back down. And then from there, we'll keep up on it with maintenance of seal coating the asphalt to make sure that it doesn't chip, break, and then keep up on the repairs of it too.
Yeah, that's a good price.
Any questions, questions or comments?
So how much did you say it would cost to complete the street?
I didn't even get a quote on completing it. If you go up to Industrial Park, if you go down Elliott, which is the next thing we're gonna talk about, if you go from Austin Avenue, that price is 81,000, and that's to go from pretty much right off Austin Ave all the way around to the next stop sign was 81,000. And that's for 4 inches of asphalt.
Hmm.
So I definitely can get quotes on, and that's what we plan on doing, is getting some quotes so we can bring these things back to you. That way everyone has an idea of what some of these streets throughout everyone's precinct is going to cost. Because really, we don't know. We're just kind of guessing.
I'll give you some streets out of 2.
There are plenty of streets in 2, 6, 4.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
So you're gonna be removing the trees as well,
One, I
this one tree
think we're just
in
gonna,
Huntington?
there's one on the south side of the road. That's pretty big.
And that's causing damage to the road?
It's just not just the road, it's also the sidewalk. But the biggest thing that you have to remember is that the roads never dry out because they never get the sunlight like they're supposed to. We all love trees. And these trees were a great idea. But the check has come due and it has wreaked havoc on our roads and our sidewalks. If you go pretty much by any big tree that's taken up most of that right away, I guarantee you the sidewalk's gone. And if you go look in the roadway, just start looking down. You can pretty much see on each side of the road where those trees are at, because there's just potholes everywhere.
But that was my question. Is it roots or is it because they are not getting enough sun?
Both,
If it's not getting enough sun, trimming could, but
Yeah.
if there's root issues.
it's the road issues too.
So the trees that are in the boulevard,
Those are pretty small. And most likely those have a small root base. So when we go through, we're trying to look at trees that are more ornamental. They have a smaller root base that aren't gonna cause the damage of a big maple tree or a giant oak. There's one over on Elizabeth Street. If you go down Elizabeth, it has literally taken over the curb. And the side, they actually went around it with the sidewalk because it's so big. It's amazing, actually, how big it is. You don't get that from like a dogwood. Something that's a lot smaller. That's why those trees downtown are so small.
but that's what we have. in
The one tree on
boulevard.
the south of the boulevard is a huge tree. I believe it's a maple.
Okay.
If you look at it, it is just huge. It has gone up a huge trunk and then it just branches off like crazy.
Councilman Frost.
So, you're gonna keep that median in there,
Yes,
and that's gonna remain a green space?
yes,
Okay, and then the small trees are gonna stay,
yes.
and the large trees,
One large
one
tree,
large tree.
Yep.
It's gonna go.
correct.
How do other tree cities handle their issues? I mean, are they fighting the same fight?
Yeah. Can I answer?
Go ahead.
So most cities have tree ordinances, which also outline what trees are prohibited, what trees should be planted. Through Michigan State University, they've identified trees for urban development. One would be a thornless honey locust, very small leaf, non-invasive root system. Very ornamental, slow growing. You'll see those trees at Greenfield Village. Those are the type of trees we want. The large oaks, the maples, especially maples, they have a very invasive root system, and in an old community like ours, they, especially in clay tile, they get in, their roots permeate, they penetrate the sanitary sewers, the storm sewers, and create all different kinds of havoc. That's why we have to be very vigilant. The other thing that we need to do is really identify, do we want to keep putting trees in the right of way? A lot of cities have adopted just on the other side of the sidewalk. Now, that won't also affect the upheaval. However, with the new planting, a non-invasive root system, it takes the tree out of the right of way. Why? Because we're seeing more and more utilities like fiber optic, more technology going in there. And then, of course, reducing the outage exposure that you have with electricity. So that's how a lot of cities, older cities, deal with trees. So.
Thank you for that explanation, city manager. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem French.
I would also add that being a historic town, most of our big trees are over a century old. And it sort of breaks people's hearts to take them down. So I think what we've had as a policy forever is when they're ready to come down, they either don't get replaced or they get replaced with one of these ornamentals. We're not like we're gonna harvest the entire forest to produce the city of Albion, all oaks and maples and turn it into lumber and, and this.
That would be correct. Trees are what help make our city beautiful.
Right.
So we want to appreciate
Yeah.
nature's gift to us. At the same time, we just need, if we have the ability to be selective
Yeah.
of the variety and where they go, then we should.
I agree. There's a tree that's got a red X on Broadway now.
Mhm. That's coming down.
Sad.
I know,
Wow.
but look at what it's done.
I know, the sidewalk you were talking about,
Oh.
that was Joe Domingo's tree.
Yeah, it's
He
unfortunate.
saved it in 2008 or 2010 when they redid Brockway.
Yeah.
All right, well, at this time, given that we need to offer public comment, I will offer that up to anybody in the gallery who'd like to stand and address council. You may do so at this time.
Sorry to take your guys' time. I know you guys got to go through your assigned things, so I certainly apologize for that. But then wait a minute. Yeah, 3 minutes. Madam Mayor, council members, certainly interim city manager Terry, Clerk Domingo, and Colin Hartness, city attorney. How you doing? Absolutely. Great to see you folks and all the people in the gallery and those watching. Good evening, Gary Tompkins, your County Commissioner. You know, interesting, we talk about roads and whatnot, and I kind of debated on whether or not, because it's been relatively, believe it or not, it's been relatively quiet at the county. Not a lot of activity going on, if you can believe that. A lot of our agendas have been relatively small, which I guess is a good thing in some respects, because it could be very much bigger. But we talk about pothole patching. I know those of you that may traverse through the county, certainly on our side of the county, there'll be a lot of pothole patching going on. And I will tell you, we hired actually 17 contract, 2-person crews this year. And I will tell you, for the first time in my time as far as a commissioner, the positive output. So I want to certainly congratulate those folks for actually doing a great job, because it sometimes can be tough. I'll get some phone calls from people and they're looking at me like, what's this guy doing? What's he putting, So certainly positive to them. Also, too, we received notification on May 16th from our managing director that after the winter season, 24-25 winter season, because the winter was actually relatively good, we have about $2 million more that we can actually spend on roads, which is a good thing. I will tell you, as you traverse, with that being said, in the 7th district, which is our side of the county, about 22.7 more miles of road will be improved in some stretch, some way. A majority that's going to be chip and seal. So those of you who may know chip and seal, just be prepared as you traverse through the county. You're going to see some chip and seal going on. So, but I will say again, that's positive note. Great job to our county road department for being able to, be very prudent in terms of their spending and being able to be prepared for that. So, I'll go back to what I always say is road funding at the state level continues to be where it's at. There's 2 different plans on the table. Nobody can seem to agree on anything, and it's sad because as we sit here and all of us collectively talk about roads and everything else that goes on, we're struggling trying to find a way, and we really need them to come together and do something for us. So also too, real quickly, one of the things in my newsletter, and if you don't get, hey there, man, how are you doing? Sorry. In my newsletter this month, one of the things I also talk about is bridge conditions. You guys know bridges, because you got a lot of bridges and certainly in the city of Alvin, especially on Haven Road too. Haven Road, you've got a bridge that's very bad. And so what I did in my newsletter is I listed out all of our bridges in the 7th district, and you'll be surprised and shocked. As much as we talk about roads, there's just as much of an issue with bridges now. A lot of our bridges are either getting close to being closed or in very poor condition. And what I did in my newsletter is I just pointed out how bridges are funded, and you'll be surprised of the absolutely crazy lunacy that you'll see in terms of what kind of a massive formula there is to do it. So taking all that into consideration, we've got a responsibility, myself included, to make sure that I continue to talk to our state legislators and have them come to resolution in terms of getting something for us so that we can move forward and actually get our bridges and our roads done. Because it affects each and every one of us every day, no matter where we traverse through the county. So, and again, if you're interested in my newsletter is available. It's a great resource to know what's going on around the 7th district, and it's great to see you folks again. A lot of stuff going on the family wide, so we'll just keep pressing along. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you. Good evening.
Gary, appreciate it. Would anybody else like to stand and address council?
It's just something in person. Sorry, I was a little late. I went to City Hall. And there was no sign up, so there's another guy coming up too. My name is Sherry Grice. I live at 812 North Marion Street. And I'm here with the concern of Marion Street being used with all the semis going up there. If you go from Pine Street to North Street, says Artistic Child lives in that area. If you watch how they go up there, you got buses coming down there shaking the houses. You got people speeding over there in that one area. My concern are the children. I have a young lady that's 6 years old next door to me. She can't hear out one ear and she doesn't see real well. We have a lot of children in that neighborhood. And I've always stood for the children, and every one of you know it. There's been speeding. There's trucks that they have stopped the police to sell, turned them around to go all that way. I don't know who chose that way. In the middle of Marion Street. You had Family Dollar. Family Dollar is over there. Why are they going to Marion Street to turn down North Street to go? There's gotta be a better route. And it's all because of the construction. So I want that known. And I could have came with many others. I told them I'll come first. And if that keeps coming a problem, we're gonna talk more about that. Cause we got people speeding out there too. You know, you could tell when somebody's flying by you, when somebody's just normally going down the road. There's no signs up there what the speed is. There's nothing. And that has been a route for buses. Concord goes through all that. So now we added semis. And sometimes at night you could see, that was that semi that went by. The neighbors and me started laughing, 3 a.m. I got pictures at my house that go like this now. So I want to bring that to your attention. I don't care who chose the route, the engineers who are, but I think you need to be involved in who chose the route. Thank you.
Anybody else like to stand and address council?
Pardon?
All right, I will go ahead and close our study session. Can I get like 2 minutes to go get my glasses so that I can read this proclamation?
Yep.
Thank you. I'll be right back.